Hello. I thought I'd talk a little bit about Neon City, which I completed a few months ago. This is more to myself. I'm just waiting for the park to load right now. This is actually the park that took me the longest to develop. I started this park it was one of my first parks in 2017 when I started playing Theme Park Tycoon 2, and I finished it in kind of mid 2020. So its development spanned like at least 2 years, being inclusive. And as you can see, I got the whole park filled up. And looks like this is going to be my last park. And I'm pretty content with it. Shows how I've kind of evolved in my architectural skills, at least in this game, but also just in general. It's just about loaded, and everyone's gonna suddenly start appearing. All my guests, all like 150 of them or so. This is the first structure that I built in the city. It's just this little pyramid. Deliberated getting rid of it, but it's such a classic structure that I have to keep it here. Because I remember making this. I never thought I'd all the way to finish the whole city, actually. So it's a bit nostalgic to go through this again. Sort of very simple. Just have this little monument here, some rides, some little shops over there. And eventually I started making this part of the city. And at the time, these were like the biggest freaking structures I made, so I was very happy with what I constructed. In particular, this structure is housing like intertwining meteors. Or I guess in this game they call it fireballs. The fireball rides, you can see them going there. I was very happy with how I got it working out. Got all the paths very symmetric and out of the way. This is actually one of my favorite structures. It's still one of my favorite structures. It's way ahead of its time. This one I am so. I think this was the second one. Over here, this like sloped building. Now there were no neon lights, so if I wanted to recreate a sort of neon aesthetic, I just had to paint things a neon green. So that's why it looks a little tacky now. I've considered remastering the structure, but it's also kind of classic, so I decided to let it be. And also, I want it to be done. But in seeing here, it's kind of just a little. I kind of like to think it's like a visitor's center, but the structure I'm about to show you now is more so the visitor center. It's this huge structure here. It's like a freaking monolith. And go in here, and this is supposed to be the history exhibit. It's like a monument to me. I have my statue here. I always put a statue of me somewhere in my parks. Players know who built it. Up there's just a top spin. If I go down here, it's kind of hidden away. I don't know if anyone's even discovered it. But over here's the actual history exhibit. Now, at this point, when I was making this, I kind of was ready to be done with the park, so judge this as you may, but I was actually rushing. Over here, you have the actual exhibit, which I was toying with a lot of plans of how I would do this. My favorite being to make this actually a ride, in particular a dark ride like this one. You'd go around and see all the individual pictures, and maybe I can add some scenery to it. But instead, I just decided to go with this very minimalistic room that just this huge string of. It's a timeline of all the the pictures associated with the development of this part. I won't go through each of them, but you can see what I did here. Of course, there's a lot more I can do here, but I just want it to be done. And I don't think too many people are going to see it at this point, so I just left it there. Yeah, there was a lot I could have done here if I ever wanted to go back to this place. Plenty of development to do there. I'm very happy with how this part turned out. I love the lights. It has a very modern touch to it. Anyway, so I'll go on to the next building that I built, which was this. This is kind of like the main structure. It's the mall. It's the biggest structure, I believe, in the part. And it's a little mall inside. It has its own little roller coaster in here, a mini roller coaster. It's not too bad. This is a pretty rough ride. I won't ride it now, but I actually recently adjusted the physics in it. It uses the new improved physics model. So it's not as violent as it used to be, but it's still pretty violent. If you wanted to be... Well, I like rough roller coasters myself, but I know a lot of people don't, so I'd advise, maybe skip on it like that. That would hurt. But I'd have fun. I'd be screaming and enjoy. Anyways, you have a little food court here. You can have a snack while you're watching the roller coaster, admiring the view from out there. Here we have two rides. We have a gravitation ride and an Enterprise. I just managed to get it to fit in this arm of my mall. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Whoa, I don't remember this. Damn. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've visited this since I created it. It's just a bunch of staircases, so you can get up here. Wow. I don't know, I forgot that I had that there. I receive a few comments of people getting lost in my park, even though I tell them, like, hey, you're not actually lost, are you? They're not actually lost. It's in a good way you can't get lost in my city, which is, I think, that is a good characteristic of a city, is that you can get lost in it, because it's a city. Anyway, so I'm going to backtrack, actually. You can't, I think, no, you can't go through there, so I'm going to go back through the mall. Just backtrack, because after I've completed this building, I actually went to complete the west side of the park, specifically making what's it called, voltage. I created the voltage ride. Let me just tab out for a moment, make sure I'm recording. I get paranoid that I'm not recording. So, voltage ride. Voltage roller coaster. It's supposed to resemble a Geiger coaster, similar to like Millennium Force. So obviously the real thing, I don't think it's anywhere near as large as Millennium Force, but it's still the biggest roller coaster in my park. Oh, just in time as it's getting nice and dark. Perfect. Alright, let's grab a front seat. So this is going to wade through the latter part of the city, which is the last part that I developed in this part. I believe this roller coaster should be the tallest roller coaster I have. Not by much though. The next tallest is a black hole. So here, well, first person. Nice drop. Go through the Hilton. We're gonna go through a lot of buildings. Here we go through the black hole station. Pop up. I also updated the physics model for this roller coaster, so it's a lot smoother. It used to be really rough when I first opened it, because it was one of my first advanced editor roller coasters. But now it's a lot smoother, it's more realistic. I would actually ride this roller coaster and feel that it's smooth. Yeah, I built all the buildings around it, and it all just pretty much worked out. In the end, I put supports as a final touch. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I just wish it was a little longer, but these things are exhausting to make, especially when it was my first roller coaster. That's my only complaint. It's a bit of an abrupt stop, a sharp turn over here, but it works out. Got a pretty full roller coaster experience there. Also really happy with how I got this station to work out. I love working with the glass. That's my favorite part of the city, is working with the glass. There's so much you can do with it, and there's an example. You can just make so many geometric designs. It's totally my ally. Oh, and of course around this time is when we got the neon up. We actually got neon lights, and that was the biggest update because Neon City needs neon lights. I play with them a lot. Over here we're going to go back out. And the station is pretty much attached to this structure. It's supposed to be a little bit of a residential apartment structure in the top, and in here it's a bit of a smaller mall complex. I think to the left we have a bit of a shop here. It's a very small gift shop. And over here we have a bit of a restaurant. You can sit down. You have a cool water floor that you'll see around my park quite a bit. And you can appreciate the monorail and the roller coaster going through. I like to make a restaurant should be something I would want to actually sit down and enjoy the view. So I'll continue on. Over here, this is kind of honestly, this is one of the filler structures. This just contains a little twister ride inside. And inside in the upper level just pretty much just contains the roller coaster and the monorail going through. But it's a nice touch. It's a pretty unique structure. I will definitely keep it, even if it was meant to be filler and it was just made on the spot. It worked out. Now this is the first monorail structure called the tram station. It's the tram station. I went through multiple iterations of this. I just couldn't come up with a design that I would be proud with. Probably took like at least 3 tries of this building until I settled with this one, and I am so happy with this. This is actually one of my favorite structures in the whole part. It's a bit hard to appreciate it, but you can see kind of I just have a little bit of art going here. The monorail goes through there. Actually, I might as well go take a ride on the monorail. Maybe we can I won't ride it yet, but I'll just show off the station here. Because actually I want to go here, continue in this next part of the park that I developed. Over here I tacked on this frisbee ride. It was just enough space for a frisbee ride. I thought I'd go on and put it here. Also so I can have a bit more open space somewhere in the park. Over here we go back into this the voltage structure, and we have another food court. We have a food court over here, just at the edge of the park. It's actually at the corner, at the very corner. Got the monorail up there. I'm actually going to get rid of these support structures. We don't need those. I mean, I guess that works out. Yeah, that's okay. Over here, this is very trivial, but there's a little water slide where you can go into this green acid water, if that's your fancy. Yeah, pretty much just cramming stuff here. This was before the humongous park plot update, so obviously this didn't exist. Let me just say, all my parks would have been totally different if that update came like a year earlier. And yeah, this is just kind of at the edge of the park. Here you can appreciate more my tram structure, doing a bit more artwork here. I was really happy with how this worked out. You got a little fountain here. The water, things like this with water just work out very well with the city. Over here we have Jazzy Hotel. Literally Jazzy Hotel. I made this before he even worked in a hotel. I just like, I don't know, Jazzy Hotel. I always try and put a reference to Jazzy in my parks. So there's his. You can't actually go in the hotel, but the monorail does stop at the hotel. There is a little station there, even though the guests won't actually get off. Here's another skyscraper here. I made this, I don't know what, I kind of went out of my way and made this elaborate entrance. But there's not much in this building. It's just another food court, and up there there's a plane ride. I think I can actually go upstairs, and there's a bit of a balcony on top where we can appreciate the vista. This is also where you get into the plane ride. Not much to see over here. You can see where the bulk of the city is, which I made after I was actually competent at building in the game. Over here you can see here. And I'll just hop off down. And I think that's it for over here pretty much. I'm going to go on and take the monorail. It just left, but the departures are pretty close together, so we should be able to catch the next ride. Just gonna go up here again. Looks like it should be coming any moment now. Actually comes this way. Alright, it might be a while, so there's a little pathway in there. Actually, this structure also contains a food court, too. No rides. Little bathroom there. And plenty of glass in the ceiling. Here we go. Okay, let's catch the ride, catch our train. See where this takes us. Just gonna go to the next structure I created. First, it's gonna pass by the city. I don't know if we'll be able to see too much of the city from this angle. It's actually later on that you see more of the city. You can see the Marriott Hotel, and then we're just right next to these other buildings. And we're gonna pull up to the second station here. And this is, it's not my favorite station, but I think it's the most epic station. It's this giant archway. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I just jumped out, but you're supposed to go down the, through the glass. Anyway, so here we are in the next part of my city. I actually forgot to go through the first roller coaster that I created in this park. Or at least the first, advanced editor roller coaster, a proper roller coaster. It's this called the Night Shift. And I'll go sneak a ride on it now. I won't show too much on this part. There's just a lot of flat rides. Here we go, Night Shift. There's another food court in there. This is going to be the tackiest ride because it was my first advanced editor made roller coaster. Let me just get a sip of water while I wait. Here we go. Front seat. Yeah. Oh wow, that was a very fast. Oh yeah, I think there was an update that if it recognizes a player sitting on the train, it'll do an immediate departure. Yeah, it's a straight out boost. I have this unique inversion. It's kind of supposed to be like an Intelman. Pretty rough ride, and you can see I kind of collide a bit into stuff, but it works out. Definitely looks good from a distance. I'll give it that. This was a very crammed roller coaster, though. You can see I have this little awkward part just trying to get into the station. I have to go around the pyramid. But it works out. It's part of the park now. I have a fond memory of making this. I like this little staircase part, even though I need to update it to be a staircase, not a ramp. Not a big deal, though. Here we go. You can see how it looks. This was the first roller coaster I made, and when I made it, this was like the most epic thing I've ever seen. Of course, now it's kind of shadowed by the main city over there, which we'll go to right now. And over here we have a bit of a pond, or a lake if you want. We have this giant swing ride over here. And now we're going to start going into the city. There is so much going on in the city. This is pretty much the second part of Neon City's development. This pretty much mostly happened 2018, 2019. And the first first I'll go in here. This is kind of just Plenty of glass. It's just a housing a gravitation ride. Here we have a Pizza Hut in the biggest skyscraper in the city, and also the first one in the back of the park. We have a Pizza Hut here. Let's get out here. We have a bit more of a shopping complex here, even though there's not too much. It just goes to the other end of the park. You have space rings here, and a bit of a lounging area over here. And here we go. It's turning night, so everything's gonna look really nice. So I'll start off over here with the Ravager. That's the inverted roller coaster, which is housed in this. It's supposed to be. It's kind of a unique-looking building. I suppose I want it to be a bit of a church-like structure. Well, I wouldn't call it a cathedral, but it's like a church-like structure, or some sort of cultish structure. It's kind of weird. It's unique, not weird. Call people unique, not weird. And it's still testing. I don't know. I thought I opened it. Here we go, though. It's open. If I sit in it, it should start up, right? There we go. At the time of making this, I had no idea what was going to go over there. I was thinking of just expanding the city. But as you can see, I ended up making this humongous warehouse. We're just going to house the last roller coaster, the black hole. We're going to drop into the Razor structure. Nice and easy, no collisions. Go through a loop. I'm going to go through a lot of buildings here. Everything has supports. Go through Expedition G-Force. I'm going to twist over the main pathway. And pretty much just like everything else has worked out pretty nicely. It's a pretty short ride, but the track is very visible, so it looks a lot longer than it actually is. But it contains all 4 inversions. It's not too bad. Don't mind me, I'm just a little lost looking for the exit. Here we go. Crammed quite a lot into this little structure. And even space for like little fire effects and plenty of pillars here. So what's next? I guess I can go through the Razor building. It might be a little disappointed. It's just it's just a little gift shop. Actually, most of what you'd want to see is over here. Go through the Burger King. It has a little Burger King in here. I would not mind sitting here and having a snack. Just look at that vista. Then over here, I'm actually going to go around. You can appreciate the Burger King restaurant from here. And over here is supposed to be like a little theater. You can get your tickets over here. Going to here, and there's not exactly a theater, but there is this carousel ride called Pinwheel. Can go in. Not much, but it fit pretty nicely. On the side, you can see how I made it kind of visible through the glass. And over here, we're finally going to ride probably the most themed roller coaster in the whole park. It's called Black Hole. Here's the entrance in here. With our little queue here, and you can see the ride station while you're just entering the queue. It's pretty elaborate in there, but we'll get into that momentarily. And as you wind your way over here, you can see probably the signature part of Black Hole, which is this giant Engelmann. It's actually it's an Engelmann loop. I think you'd call it an Engelmann loop, which comes just after the main first drop over here, where it literally drops into a black hole, which I think that was a pretty important feature of this ride. Now we're going to go into the station, which is inside this building. Go through this giant hallway. And right into the station platform over here. Over here you can appreciate the style I went for. This used to be outside, and then I continued in a building. I think it looks a lot better now. A bit more atmospheric. It feels more like some ride that you come across in Disneyland. Just it's pretty heavily themed at this point, isn't it? And the people outside can get a little glimpse of the station too. Alright, that train just left, so we're probably gonna have to wait a little bit. So I'll just... Over here you can see how much effort I went through to get the... what's it called? The voltage roller coaster to fit through all these buildings without looking tacky. So I kind of made it look like it's... I made this very specific hole for it. Just all works out pretty nicely. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna go into this little fog area. And onto the main lift hill. And finally exit the structure, so we can go to the black hole where we will drop into. It's gonna hold us over it for a second, and we're gonna plunge into the abyss. Then we're gonna kind of go through the city a little bit. And now we're on to the second part of the ride, which is inside the warehouse. Got 2 loops in there, so that's 3 inversions in total. I wanted to go for a bit of a longer ride, fit as much as I could. Also do something with this area because I always want a black hole to take up this area, so that's what I did. It's kind of a unique building, I suppose, to add a warehouse and not just another commercial building. And we're back at the station. This is the roller coaster that took me the longest. Oh my gosh. It took me at least a year. And that is, of course, a year of, giving up and going back and doing a lot of redos. Was it worth the effort? Yeah, of course it was. Alright, here's where I was supposed to exit. I was just wander off. But, the exit just trails next to the entrance queue. Alright, so what's left? Of course, over there you can see the Hilton, which is... And right in front of it is the rocking disc. Which fit very nicely over here in between all these roller coasters and tracks. I added this, I know this kind of gets in the way of everything, but I added because, if I was walking through here, I would just feel a little like this roller coaster, the voltage roller coaster, is a little too close to my head for comfort. It's also very loud, so I like to imagine like this might dampen that insecurity just a little bit. So let me see what else I haven't showed. I think that's pretty much everything. I guess I can go towards the back of the part and show just this last corner that I didn't touch. Go past the theater over there. It all just works out pretty nicely. It's a decently sized portion of a city. If I were to go back, I'd make a full city because these park saves can now support a full city. Now, it's a matter if I have the time to make a full city. That's the hard part. This is it. It's just over here. There's a little hamburger food court. You can watch the black hole going through over here. That's it. And I'll go back to the last monorail station over there on my way back. But first, I'm just going to show this last building over here. This one I did a few redos. I wanted a really unique building, and I finally settled for this. this skyscraper. I'm very happy with it. And it had to be tall because it houses the slingshot ride, which is housed within. Which, it's a little tacky, but it works out. I didn't flesh that in, and I don't really need to. I don't think anyone's going to go in there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Alright, I'll go on and we'll take a ride in the last station. This tram station, which you can see all the way from the mall, actually. As you can see, tram is advertised from there. I don't know if we'll make it to the train in time, but I'll try. Did I make it? No. Alright, so we'll wait a bit. I liked how this turned out also. I want it to be just right adjacent to the path so people can see when the tram pulls in and out. It's kind of like how as I remember, that's how a lot of the Disneyland tram stations looked like. You could see the tram pulling in and out. It wasn't private, and I like that. They didn't try and hide their transportation. Because the Disneyland monorail was created... It was supposed to be part of the aesthetic of Tomorrowland. It was supposed to be a futuristic ride. It just happened to also be a form of transportation. So we're just going to go back to the first station from where we came from. First we're going to stop at Jazzy Hotel, though. Right over here. Not actually going to get off. Because hotels aren't actually supported in this game. You know, I didn't expect Planet Coaster to add support for hotels. Or, you know, Planet Coaster, I mean, you know, and the sequel to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. That was a great addition. They also added support for restaurants. The thing is, it's kind of just, you don't actually see the guests in the restaurant or the hotel, but it does the job. It's something. It at least, the game recognizes the structure that you made. Alright, that's it. I have showed you the whole park. So as I was finishing up the park, that was when they added these extra plots, which pretty much adds 50% more expansion plots to the park. And by that point, I had the whole park layout pretty much just planned out and sealed up, so I wasn't... And I was going to leave the game, so I decided to just fill in the slots with this... with these... this artwork, I suppose. So now every last part of the park is occupied. Alright, that's it. I just thought I'd talk a little bit about Neon City before I forget about it. I intend for this to be my last park. My last park was supposed to be Jazzania, but I decided to go on and finish my one incomplete park, which I did. So that's it. Maybe in another video I'll go through Jazzania, and that'll be a lot more elaborate. Because really, for most of this park, I just wanted to make buildings. And then I took it a little more seriously. Alright. Goodbye.